So good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Provincial Office webinar. I hope you're all safe and well. My name's Andrew Rydell, and I'm the Provincial Deputy Grand Secretary. So to today's session, I'm going to hand straight over to Phil Preston, who's going to introduce the session. So over to you, Phil.
Thank you, Andrew, and good afternoon, brethren. I hope you're all well and staying safe. During these difficult times, it has become more obvious that we need to consider different approaches to our charitable giving. And today it is my pleasure to introduce to you all Worshipful Brother Paul Crockett, past Senior Grand Deacon of the United Grand Lodge of England, Assistant Provincial Grand Master for the province of Surrey. Paul is the head of fundraising for the Masonic Charitable Foundation, and has since the start of our festival given to West Lancs valued support and advice when required. He's been our liaison officer right from the very start in 2017 when we launched the festival and before. Paul will be explaining the planned rollout of digital donations and the associated relief chest scheme, along with the benefits attached to this. Paul will also take any questions you may have with respect to this scheme, or indeed anything charity or festival related. If you have any questions, we'll be more than pleased to answer them at the end of his presentation. Paul, welcome to West Lancashire. Many thanks once again. I know you've attended many of our meetings in person. Thank you very much for the support you've given and will continue to give to us. And without further ado, I'd like to hand you over to the Brethren of West Lancashire. Thank you very much, Paul.
Well, thank you, Phil, and thank you to all for asking me to attend. I don't think I've been on a Zoom meeting that's had over 200 at the moment, 200 participants. So this is a new one for me as well. What do they say about talking in front of large groups of people? Just focus on one person and imagine that they're the only person in the room. So I'm going to try and do that now because it's a big screen full of people. It's nearly a year, actually, since I was in the province. I came up back in February of last year and attended the Donna Confidentes Lodge, which is obviously your charity steward's lodge, and had a terrific time. Great lodge, and I was received very warmly and gave a little talk then about the sort of more about the psychology of giving and a bit of background into why we fundraise. But I've been asked to join today to give you some background into digital donations, which really is going to affect everybody, every lodge or chapter or any unit that holds a relief chest. Now, I know that you have quite a few lodges in the province that have relief chests, but equally you have quite a few that don't. And this might be something that you might want to think about moving forward, because the point of digital donations is really to make life easier, particularly during lockdown and when we can't meet. The background to this, it came about from Sahel. Some of you may know Sahel at the MCF. He's a very, very energetic man, lots of enthusiasm, lots of energy, and is absolutely passionate about digital and IT systems. And when we started with the lockdown and the Masonic meetings were suspended, we naturally saw a huge reduction in the amount of donations that were coming in through gift aid envelope collections. These usually the sort of collections that you would get at a lodge meeting when you're all together. Obviously that wasn't happening, and so there was a big slowdown in that. Happily, donations through regular ongoing givings have pretty much stayed level. We've maintained a kind of a level playing field with those. There haven't been a huge number coming on, but equally there haven't been a huge number dropping off. So we've remained steady. But the gift aid envelope collections is certainly the biggest concern for us. And we sat down and we had conversations, and Sahel just said, I think we need to come up with a way of making it easy for people to donate, even if they're not together. And at first we looked at tap and pay, where you have a device and you can tap a card. But even then, it requires you to be in a room with somebody that holds the little device that you need to make the donation. So he then looked at digital donation through the use of QR codes. And what they've created in a very short space of time is quite a remarkable system. Effectively, every individual relief chest, of which there are about 5,000, every individual one will have its own unique QR code and an associated URL. Now, for those of you who don't know what URL is, I don't actually know what it stands for, but it's effectively like a website address. So each each individual relief chest will have its own unique QR code and URL. And what will happen is when somebody wants to make a donation, they can simply scan the QR code with their phone, and it will pop up on the screen with a little screen that will directly go into that member's relief chest. So you can make a donation any amount that you want. There are some preloaded ones to make things quicker. You can apply gift aid. You can put a comment. So if you were, for instance, if you were going to Bill Preston's tea party and you wanted to support it, you could make a donation and you can put a little comment. This is for Bill Preston's tea party fundraising event. So that when that comes through on the lodge statement, the charity steward or the relief chest rep can identify where that donation has come from and what it was made for. But I think it's true to say that, you know, QR codes have become more widely used, particularly over the past few months, with people using the NHS app, for instance, to check in on the Track and Trace website, but also in other areas as well. Interestingly, back in the autumn, when we had a brief reprieve into how we could hold meetings, I went to a provincial meeting with 30 people. You'll have to excuse me, somebody's just started printing out of my printer behind me, if you can hear it. And I was chatting to an elderly brother in the bar, and we were talking about QR codes and this system, and he said, I don't think it'll take on. He said, I don't know how to use them. I've got no interest in learning how to use a QR code. We then went on to talk about how you could get a beer from the bar. And I said, you need to scan this little thing on the table and they'll bring a beer over to you. And with that, he pulled his phone out, scanned the QR code, and lo and behold, a beer appeared. And I said, yeah, you can use it when you want a beer. So it is something that we're getting used to using. So the QR codes are really the way forward, we believe. So this system will allow any relief chest holder or any unit with a relief chest to make donations directly into that relief chest. And that QR code can be printed on lodge summonses. It can be printed or included in a signature on an email. It can be used if you are hosting, you know, in the future when we can start meeting again and holding events. If you're holding an event, it could be used on the table at a black tie dinner or anything that you want to send out. That QR code can be printed on it and be used. In addition, we're also issuing QR codes for festival relief chests. So from a provincial point of view, you can make donations directly into your festival relief chest. And again, you'll be able to enter your lodge number or your chapter number so that any honorifics that are due to you will be picked up and registered against the right lodge and against the right person. And so QR codes, again, making things easier to make donations when you're not meeting. So really, in terms of using this system, it's going to be available for anybody at all. If you can't use the QR code, you can use the URL. But it's useful for lodges to grab or to get the attention, rather, of members who might not be able to make a meeting. They can still make their donation if they want to, very quickly, very easily. You can encourage members to use these at lodge meetings when we get back to meeting, rather than circulating the gift aid envelopes. You can just say to people, at the festival, please don't forget to scan the QR code. It will be on the table, make your donation. So lots of benefits, a lot less paperwork for the charity steward if you're not having to manage gift aid envelope collections. I should stress this is not in place of gift aid envelopes. This is an additional tool for your charity steward toolbox. We're not phasing gift aid envelopes out. But what I will say is, when we ran the pilot scheme back in the autumn, the average donation that was made through a QR code was higher than the average donation that we see in gift aid envelopes. And this is often because people tend to throw in loose change, whereas they'll probably round up to £5, £10 or £15 or what have you when they do a QR code donation. So lots of benefits. Other things that if you haven't got a relief chest though, you're not going to be able to have this system unless you're doing it directly into the festival or the provincial relief chest. So really, if lodges are thinking, I'd really like this, I think this is a really useful tool, then it is worth considering opening a relief chest. It's very straightforward, very easy. There's been some other developments over the past few months, particularly in the way we manage making donations out of lodge relief chests, you can now do it all electronically. You don't have to fill in the little vouchers that you used to do and get them signed by 2 different people and send them off. It's all done electronically now. A relief chest rep can register online through the MCF website for e-vouchers. When you use e-vouchers, it's very simple. It even populates the address. You can put in what you think is the charity's name. It will come up with a list of the closest matches. You can pick the charity that you know is the right one. It will populate the form of the address, charity number, and everything else for you. You then have a nominated second signatory, which you just click, and it sends a message to that person to authorize payment. And then it goes straight into the relief chest office, and they will make the donation in the normal way, either by sending the check to you as a lodge so that you can send it on with a covering letter, or directly to the charity. So another really good development. So that's the sort of the 2 key messages that I wanted to bring to you today about digital donations. I'm just looking at the chat actually, and somebody's put, nice to see that I'm wearing the Provincial tie. I wouldn't dare attend anything and not wear the Provincial tie. David Winder would have my guts for garters if I didn't wear my Provincial tie. So yeah, so that's really where we're at with digital donations. So before I speak about anything else, is there any questions or anything that anyone wants to ask me about specifically on digital donations? I see there's a comment there from David Kenworthy from Quadrant 8044. Presumably we could print QR codes onto the summonses. Yeah, absolutely. It's a really great place to put them, have them on your lodge summonses, and then it goes straight in. What payments methods are available? It's any credit card. Actually, the PayPal, I see you put PayPal. That has already come up in the last week. Somebody else asked if we can add PayPal. We are looking at that. At the moment, it's just through any credit or debit card. But hopefully we can add PayPal. We do know that people use PayPal. Anything else? Please clarify for lodgers without a relief chest. So the digital donations only take donations into relief chests. So if you have a relief chest in your lodge or chapter, you will get a unique code, and when you use that code, the donation will go into that lodge relief chest and nowhere else. If you have if you don't have a relief chest with your lodge, the only one you would be able to use would be the festival relief chest. And that means that all the donations would go directly into your festival. But as I was saying, you have an option to put your lodge number or chapter number or what have you, so that it can be recognised as a donation from you and from your lodge for festival honorific purposes. Oh, we're getting a few now. Can you explain? Hang on, let's go back. Can you explain, where does the donation stored? So the donations all go into the relief chest scheme, which is held by the Grand Charity. In fact, although the 4 charities were merged into MCF, Grand Charity still holds the relief chest. So effectively, when you use the relief chest, you're making a payment to the Grand Charity. And this ties in with the next question from Andrew. Can you explain what a relief chest is? So a relief chest is, in the technical term, is a donor advised fund. So effectively, when you make a donation to the relief chest, you are in fact making a donation to the Grand Charity, and it's held in a fund. And the reason it's called a donor advised fund is because the Grand Charity won't do anything with that fund until the donor advises them where it's to go. So the money goes in, it will be ring fenced for the lodge or chapter that holds that particular relief chest, so that they can then decide how that money is then used. But it's just held, it's effectively, some years ago, people used to describe it as a charity bank for Freemasons. And I kind of understand what they mean, but it is effectively a fund. So you've made a donation to the Grand Charity. They then wait for you to tell them where you want it to go to. So it's effectively just a holding fund. But the reason that we use it is because you've made that donation to the Grand Charity can then claim the tax back through the gift aid scheme. And they can handle all of that for you. So you will, as a relief chest holder, you will get an annual statement. You can have it more often. You can have it whenever you like. You can ring up and order a statement just before a meeting. And it will list all the donations that have come in, plus gift aid that has been reclaimed. So it's very much like using a kind of a bank account for your donations. I hope that answers the question. How do you set up a relief chest? Very straightforward. If you go online onto the MCF website, there is a mcf.org.uk. There is a button called Relief Chest. If you click that, you'll get a number of options. One of those options is how to set up a relief chest. And if you go in there, then it's all done for you, and it's a straightforward process. You have to, there's a couple of technical things that have to be completed, but all the instructions of how to do it are there.
Can I just add to that, Paul, that after this presentation by you today, that later on there will be letters going out to every lodge and chapter explaining how they can set up, for those who haven't currently got a relief chest, there is a letter going out explaining that. I know there's quite a lot of stuff on the chat at the moment, and they're asking if it's been rolled out to charity stewards yet. Obviously, charity stewards within lodges and chapters that have relief chests will know all about it, but this letter is going to all lodge secretaries and scribes, chapter scribes, for the attention of the charity stewards and, of course, the members of it, because the members within each unit has to agree on that.
Yeah. Good. Thanks, Phil. What was the next question? How do we know who has given if it's done digitally for the records? Well, it will appear on the relief chest statement. My advice would be that before a lodge meeting, you can ring up the relief chest or email them and ask them to send you a statement via email. You'll then be able to see every donation that's come in since the last meeting, so that you can actually give a really full and thorough report at your lodge meeting. And it will highlight whether the donation has come in digitally, whether it's through a gift aid envelope. There's all references to show how the donation has come in. So it will all be shown on your statement. Do members have to be registered for gift aid? When you do the digital donation, it will ask you if you want to apply gift aid. You can just tick the box in the same way that you would on a gift aid envelope. You just tick the box to say you want to apply gift aid. If you're using a regular payment promise, then that would have been done at the opening and the start of that regular payment promise. So it's very much like using a gift aid envelope in terms of you just tick the box, so to speak, and it will take the gift aid application. Question at Apple Pay, again, like PayPal, we're just using credit and debit cards at the moment, but we are looking at other ways to pay, including PayPal. Apple Pay, nobody's mentioned that before, but I'll add it to the list. I'm sure Sahel will love it. He loves a challenge. So we'll add that to the list. When scanned, Peter Bartlett, when scanned, it probably then prompts you for how much you want to donate. Yes, it gives you three options. Well, it gives you four options. You can pick your own and put your own amount in, but there are three preset amounts, which I believe are set at 5, 10, and 15. But it could be 5, 10, and 20, actually. I can't remember which three now. But yeah, there are three preset ones plus enter your own, so you can put in whatever amount that you want. Will there be any written guidance published, please? Roger, hi, thanks for the question. That I can print some things off and send them to anybody, but if you go onto the MCF website and look up digital donations, there's actually guidance there for donors, guidance for relief chest reps, and also 2 short videos on how to use it as well. You can have a look, and I'll send Phil Preston the link for that page on the website, and he can then circulate that to everybody. But it's interesting. It's a very straightforward system, and the website has, as I said, 2 little videos that show you how to use it. What interest rate does the relief chest pay? Not very much, I'm afraid. It's a little over, it is over base rate, but not very much over base rate. Can't remember what the latest figure is, but I will find out. And that, who was that? Ian Greenwood. Ian, I will find out, and I will come back and confirm what the latest rate is for you.
It is more than what you would currently be getting in your own little lodge charity accounts or lodge general accounts or whatever. I know it's more. I don't know the exact figure myself, Paul, but I know it's more than what our own lodge and chapter charity accounts would be paying. In fact, we probably get nothing in some of them, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is the benefit to it.
I know it is slightly more. I can't remember what the exact figure is, but I'll come back to Ian Greenwood on that. Would it be that an individual's particular card is linked to the QR code or phone, or does it need to be put into the phone each time? That's quite a technical question, David. I don't know that it would link to a card or phone, you just scan it each time and you just open it up. That's a really good question, though. I guess would that be a setting on the phone, though, whether or not the phone stores a setting? Don't know, but I'm happy to find out. David Kenworthy, I will come back to you on that, David, as well. Let's just make a note of that.
There's a question on there which I'd like to answer, and from Andrew Thompson, saying, can we use it for our own lodge charity account? It is your own lodge charity account, basically. You still have control of it. You're better off having the money in the relief chest or in your lodge charity account. It's still up to you. You still got control of it. Where you donate your money to, that is still in your hands.
Yeah, the only thing I would say there, Bill, is perhaps Andrew might be asking if a QR code could be applied to something that's not a relief chest, so a lodge charity account. The answer would be no.
No, not for that.
Can only be linked to relief chests.
Can I just answer one there, Paul, that Malcolm Alexander's put on as well? He's asking about after the festival. I'm sure you don't want to hear this. Where will our support go after the festival? Our support obviously hopefully stays with MCF and our own West Lancashire Freemasons charity. And I was talking to Steve Kane the other day, the CEO of West Lancs, and believe me, he is all in favour of every lodge and chapter, if possible, to have a relief chest, because he said it just makes sense to have it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a question here from Rob Jones. Has this been rolled out yet? Well, as Phil's already explained, the rollout is starting in the next couple of days. So you should start to see the information coming through. Ian Sterling, as relief chest statements are not issued regularly, how does the lodge chapter keep accounts? Well, the relief chest statements are issued annually. However, if you want to receive them monthly, quarterly, once every 6 months, that's absolutely fine. You can go up, give the relief chest a call, and they will set the statements to however you want them. You can equally give them a call just before a meeting or whenever you want one and have the latest one emailed to you. So the reason that they only issue them annually as a matter of course is obviously to save postage and printing costs, but you can have them however you like. If gift aid is reclaimed on each donation, what happens to those brethren who make the donation but are not taxpayers? Gift aid is only claimed on donations where the donor indicates that they want gift aid claimed. If you don't tick the gift aid box, then gift aid won't be claimed. So, and in fact, can't be claimed. You can only claim gift aid when the indication is given that gift aid can be applied. So hopefully that answers Kevin's question. Can a lodge use its relief chest to donate to non-Masonic charity? Yes, it can. A relief chest can be used to donate to any registered charity. They will also look at community groups if they feel that there is a charitable need. And also they will look at supporting a brother in times that needs charitable relief. But there is a limit on how much you can do from a relief check, which is why most lodges also have benevolent accounts. But they will look at supporting a brother that needs some relief as well. But yeah, any registered charity doesn't have to be non-Masonic. As charity rep, will I know who has donated or can I access the information? Presumably you have sight, Barry, of your relief chest statement, so hopefully you will. But yeah, because it will all appear on the relief chest statement. And if it's a donation into the festival relief chest, then I guess the festival team disseminate the information accordingly. So yeah, you should see that absolutely without doubt. And the interest rate is higher than the bank. Thank you, Andrew. How do you direct the grand charity to send it to release the funds to a specific charity? From Gary Hacking. So there's two ways of doing it. When you open a relief chest, you'll receive a set of forms, and you can fill the form in. It has to be signed by 2 people in the lodge. Usually it's the master, treasurer, secretary, charity steward, or relief chest rep, any combination of those 2. And then you send it into relief chest, and they will either send the donation back to you so that you can send it to the charity. And in normal times, it might be that you want to go along to the charity in person and make the donation, or they will send a donation directly to the charity if that's what you want. Now that we have electronic vouchers, the same system applies, except it's done through the website and electronically. So it's much quicker and much easier. But it is very easy to do. Question from Chris Taylor. Does this mean we could use it as a lodge savings account ready for the next festival? You shouldn't really do that. The point of a relief chest is that you have made a donation to charity, and that means that it needs to be given to charity. However, if you can demonstrate that you are saving some of it but using some of it, so if you're starting to build a small fund, then that would be fine. What might happen is if a relief chest doesn't get used for a period of time, you'll get a letter from the relief chest asking why the money's sitting there. If you go back to them and say we're building up for a specific project, which we're going to do on this particular day or what have you, then the relief chest would usually be happy with that. So you can use it to save a little bit of funding ready for your next festival, but I wouldn't use it just as a savings account, so to speak. What's next? Will the request for statements be linked to Hermes? No. Hermes is a UGLE system, and we are the MCF, so we're not really linked in any way in that sort of technical way. So no, I don't believe that Hermes is going to have anything to do with MCF on it. But you know, what will happen is next week they'll announce that MCF are going to be linked to Hermes, and what I've just said is a load of rubbish. But at the moment, Hermes, there's no link. Who knows? David, particularly while in lockdown and for lodges without a relief chest, is key fact and emphasis identified to give to the festival. Yes, you're absolutely right, David. During the last year, the MCF have given over £4 million in additional support. That's over and above the support that we would normally give at this time to non-Masonic charities. And we've also massively increased the support that we're giving to Freemasons as well. I actually just before I came on had a quick look to see how we're doing in West Lancs, to see what's going on. To date, in this current financial year, which was from the 1st of April last year, so effectively since the start of lockdown, in West Lancs there's been over £500,000 in Masonic support. That's £525,000 across 265 grants. Now that's a massive amount of support. And you know, it's the reason why we desperately need people to support the festival, because we are actually putting a lot of money into supporting everybody, quite rightly so as well. You know, there's absolutely the right thing to do, and we must do that, and it's what we're here for. But we can't do it without the support of everybody and Masons across the festival system. And you're doing a great job. Your festival support has been remarkable. But we're hoping that the digital donations will allow you to continue to do that even when you can't meet. You know, it might be that you want to consider making a donation every time you would have been at a meeting. Make that donation that you would have made. Make a donation when you know that you would have visited a friend's meeting. Anytime you think I would have been at that meeting tonight, I'm going to make my donation that I would have done. And you could even, if you wanted to, add what you would have spent on the raffle as well, if you couldn't buy the raffle ticket. So absolutely, it's vital that we keep supporting the festival. And you've got a few months left to go. And I'm really looking forward to your finale later in the year. I'm definitely going to be there. I bought a new dress and everything. So, well, not for me to wear, for the wife. So, although, who knows. Do recipients have to have a charity commission number? Generally, yes. We only make donations to registered charities. However, as I said previously, if it's a local community group that isn't a registered charity, but that you feel needs some charitable support and can make a case for that, then the relief chest will look at that. We say registered charities because obviously that gives some protection and keeps everything above board. But as I say, we are able to have a little bit of flexibility there, particularly if you can demonstrate that there is a charitable need. Google Pay, another one to add. Good, we're building them up. Oh, they're going to love me on the digital thing. Let's have a look. Is there any way for a lodge to use this facility?
Yeah, we answered that.
Yeah, we've answered that. In lieu of QR codes, is there a link to each relief chest? Yes, that's the URL. So is that Jerry hacking? Yeah, there's so each QR code also comes with a little web address that you can use as well, and it takes you to the same page for that individual relief chest. So yeah, each individual relief chest has that. Will we have autocomplete? There's a question. That's a question I don't know. I'm assuming so that if you do it once and you can just do it again, it automatically has the information from the previous page. I think you can set phones for payment cards and what have you to automatically fill. I'm not sure about things like the gift aid declaration, because that might be something that you have to do each time. So in answer to your question, Andrew, I'm not entirely sure, but I can find out. QR codes to store the code details for future use if you want to use them through the app setting. Right, okay, there you go. Thanks a lot. Ian Sterling, there you go. So just to reiterate as well that when you make a donation into the relief chest, you are, whilst you are effectively making a donation to the grand charity, which enables us to claim the gift aid, because you can only a charity can claim gift aid, it is sitting in what's classed a donor advised fund. So the donation can only be made once it's been advised by the donor. That's where the term comes from. So it can only be done on the advice of the donor of how that money or where that money goes to. The grand charity won't use it for anything else. It will only be used once you tell them what to do with it. There's a question here from John Barron. Who has access to who has given what? Okay, so I'm guessing you're talking about information, so data. So the data will come through to whoever has been nominated as the relief chest representative. In most cases, that will be the charity steward. Some lodges choose to make it the treasurer. It's either or, but that will be the only person that receives data from us. We do follow strict GDPR rules, and they are listed with the documents that you get when you open a relief chest. So that's the only person. So it's not printed anywhere, it's not published anywhere, it's not sent to all and sundry in the lodge. It's only communicated to the relief chest rep. Is interest earned by the grand charity under the scheme apportioned to each chest of each lodge? So yeah, we've already established that you do receive interest on relief chest funds. I mean, in principle, it shouldn't earn a great deal because it shouldn't really be sitting in there for long enough for it to earn a great deal. But yes, any money that is held in a relief chest does earn interest, and it is added to that individual relief chest. Which bank is behind the scheme? Coots. We bank with Coots. Already answered. Thanks, Andrew. Andrew's on it. Perhaps he's subtly applying for a job at the MCF. But in fact, it might be worth letting everyone know that the tax refund is not instant. The tax refund is done as quickly as we can do it. It does sometimes take a couple of months for it to appear. It just depends on how quickly we can process the donations and how quickly HMRC process our application. But it's usually done fairly quickly. So there shouldn't be a great deal of delay. But thanks, Barry. That's a good point. Gary Hacking, apologies for the amount of questions. Could this replace a lodge charity account with a conventional bank? Invariably, some lodges don't hold a charity account, they only hold their relief chest. They have a separate benevolent fund, which of course is different to a charity fund. Benevolence and charity not to be confused. So, but some lodges have a relief chest and also keep a small charity account as well. So it could replace a lodge charity. It's very much under the up to each lodge. So it's it's a personal matter, it's a personal choice for the members of that lodge to decide how they want to do it. And what looks like the last question from Paul Richardson: does the lodge need a charity number? No, it doesn't. Absolutely not. I know some lodges are registered as charities, and they would deal with their own gift aid processes anyway. So this actually means that a lodge doesn't need to be registered as a charity, so that it benefit of gift aid. Oh,
another one now.
Wouldn't you need to retain a lodge bank account to deposit cash before sending a check? Yeah. The question was about a lodge charity account, but certainly lodges should not get rid of their own bank accounts. Absolutely. You still need to do that. Obviously, with digital donations, the money goes directly to the charity anyway, so it doesn't go through the lodge. But yeah, there's forms attached to the relief chest so that when you make a collection, you can complete a form and send one check. Bank the donations into your bank account and then send one lodge check And there's some best practice guidance as well. So things like with relief chests, with gift aid envelopes, make sure there's at least 2 people opening the envelopes at any one time. Don't leave it just to one person. Just sort of best practice stuff. That's all in the guidance when you open a relief chest. That's it. Anything else?
Well, I've had a lot of questions.
That's been useful.
Yeah, that's been excellent. I mean, a very good and thorough description of the digital donations and the relief chest scheme, which is benefit to everybody, I believe. Obviously, that's for all lodges and chapters when we can get back to discuss it thoroughly. And those who haven't got a relief chest to please consider doing so. And all the relevant information on this, on the aspects of this, will be sent out in due course to every lodge and chapter. But Paul, that's been absolutely brilliant. You've answered a lot of questions there. At 1 minute, I thought you weren't turning up, but obviously you were hunting for your provincial tie. You found that. And Paul obviously works with us with the festival, and the festival will have its own QR code. Yep. We have the festival relief chest, which is Fest 2021, as everybody knows. That will have a QR code. The province will have a QR code as well, because we have our own relief chest with the province. And the lodges who have already got relief chests will, of course, be receiving their QR codes in due time. Yeah. If anybody's got any questions, about festival or anything charity related, please ask Paul while he's here, because we can keep him here for another 3 or 4 hours if you wish.
Just to jump in on this, just one of the benefits for me about having a relief chest scheme, and I think virtually all the lodges and chapters which I'm a member of operate the relief chest scheme, is the ability, like with the festival, to have set up regular donations. So if your lodge only meets 6 times a year, what you can actually do is set up a monthly standing order. So you're donating to your lodge's relief chest every month, as opposed to just when you're meeting. So likewise, so if you're missing a meeting, for example, then that money still goes towards the lodge, and the lodge benefits from that. So my London lodge, we meet 3 times a year, but most of the members give £5 a month plus gift aid with that, and that adds up to around about £2,000 a year, even though we only meet 3 times a year. So having the opportunity to set up that regular donation to the relief chest is definitely, and it's dead easy to do. It's like really easy to do, to set those up as well. So it's I definitely advocate having a relief chest.
Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And actually, that's one of the best uses for a relief chest, is that regular payment promise. And just to answer any, preempt any questions, you can set up an RPP either using a form, which you can get from us. You can do it over the phone, or you can do it online. We try and provide every possible option for you to make it easy. I noticed question from Richard Hickson: the donation to the fest is classed as a direct debit. How do you increase the monthly payment? Richard, you have to go through to the relief chest scheme and speak to a delightful lady called Bridget, who manages all of our direct debits. If you call the relief chest number, and I'm going to try and find the telephone number for you while I'm talking, because I can never remember what it is, she will happily help you alter your payment. Okay, the telephone number that you need is 020 3146 3352.
Just whilst you're doing that, Paul, I think it might be beneficial just to show the MCF website and how to get to the information about relief chests. So this is the MCF website, mcf.org.uk. If you just type in MCF into Google, it's the first return. If you go to resources and then relief chest here and click on that, it gives you all the documentation. So you've got the application to open a relief chest, change all the different bits and pieces about it. There's lots of documentation there that's available, and including how to set up the different, if you want to set up a direct debit or anything like that, all the forms are in here and the guidance is there. So just MCF, go to the main MCF website, resources, and then relief chest, and you'll find everything that you need to know there.
Thanks, Andrew. Lovely. Somebody's asked me, is it a bit cold in my garage? No, this is this is actually my office, would you believe? It's not real brick, it's just wallpaper. So sorry about that. Is it possible to know the amount that I have donated to date to the festival? That would, I guess, be a question for the festival team.
I've put a message back to Ian Greenwood that, yes, I will let him know after this meeting. No problem. When people ask me how much have they donated, the stock answer is not enough, but I daren't say that to him.
Excellent. Excellent.
But we've had, oh, cheeky, there you go. Thanks, Ian. We've had a very good turnout today, Paul. I'm sure if you hadn't come on when we thought you weren't available, the numbers would have dropped down significantly once I'd started. But thanks very much for all that. And we do appreciate the time that you've given to us and to West Lancashire in particular during this festival period. Another one there. Close to the next level. Due to lockdown, they won't make the next level. Can they still donate afterwards and make their next level patron, etc.? The answer to Orbitel is yes, they can. We will, next Tuesday, we are having a Charity Stewards meeting on Zoom, and I will be giving to everybody some information appertaining to that point where people can, lodges and chapters can pledge money up until a certain day after the end of the festival, which will still be counted in our festival total. So we will be sending.
We've lost you, Phil.
Yeah, you can imagine across all of those festive provinces, there's concerns about whether or not they're going to be impacted by the last year and ongoing. And one of the things that we are looking at is things like allowing provinces and lodges to make pledges so that they can include an amount that they would have otherwise made but can't because you're in lockdown. And we'll include those pledges on the basis that they do come in. And we trust everyone, so it's very rare that a pledge doesn't get fulfilled. But at least that will allow lodges who have been working hard to get to honorific levels. It would be so sad for them if because they couldn't meet to make that donation, they missed out on that honorific, and individuals as well. So it's only right that we allow them an opportunity to do that. So we'll include those pledge figures in any total that's announced.
Yeah, absolutely. Just if you don't mind, we've got a little bit more time. Would you mind just going over what the MCF has been doing over the last year or so in terms of supporting the people with COVID and affected families and organisations? Would you mind just kind of covering a bit of that, Paul?
No, not at all. So we started out by fairly quickly identifying that there was going to be a great deal of need, particularly in terms of charitable support. I'll come on to Masonic support in a minute, but in terms of charitable support, we worked closely with UGLE, and the first thing we did was gave UGLE £1 million, and that was the fund that was divided through the 10 regional communication groups. So some of you will know that the provinces are broken down into 10 what they call RCGs, which are regional communication groups, and there's a number of provinces in each group. So each group was given £100,000 to use for charitable purposes. In addition to that, the MCF directly gave each individual province a further £10,000. UGLE then wanted to launch the COVID fund. So we facilitated that with a relief chest, and we opened a relief chest for UGLE, and MCF committed to pledging £1 for pound. We said we would match fund it £1 up to £1 million. Well, it wasn't long before they hit that million. So there's a little over £2 million in the fund. It kind of died a natural death actually, as it just passed the £1 million point. It kind of started to slow down, and we are still getting some donations in. So we pledged another £1 million to that. And then, so when the RCG got the first group, first £1 million, the UGLE set a system of each of the RCGs applying for part of that funding. They had to submit requests and what have you, and charities were picked, and they were picked, I guess, to tie in with UGL strategy and what they wanted. The second part, the phase 2, has been the use of the money from the relief chest, from the COVID relief chest, the 2 million, and that's been broken down into 3 phases. The first phase has already happened, which was support, and I'm trying to think that it was to support domestic abuse and refuges. The second phase, I believe, is going to be to support homelessness.
Almost, yeah.
And the third phase has yet to be decided. So that £2 million will be done over 3 phases. The last phase will take place in the summer. In addition to that, we've given additional funding to 3 or 4 quite large national charities to support COVID-related issues and what have you. And then turning to Masonic support, obviously Masonic support is driven by applications. So it depends upon what applications come in. But we widened the scope for financial support. We had to look at other areas where we had to put a pause on things. So for instance, our visiting volunteer program had to pause because obviously we couldn't have people going into homes and what have you. And also there were some other areas where we knew that we wouldn't be able to fulfill requirements because of a lack of the end user, not the end user, the suppliers, so things like equipment. There were some issues there, but that's all opened up again. But we actually did see an increase overall in the number of applicants, and we have so widened the budget to do that. So that's pretty much what we've been doing. Whilst the office has been closed down completely, with just a skeleton of about 4 or 5 people in there twice a week, which is mainly to open post, to make sure that any applications that come in are dealt with and make sure any checks that come in are banked. So it's been a very, but also because we do have staff, like every organisation, there's over 100 staff at the MCF head office. And like every organisation, we have some staff who are younger and maybe living in shared accommodation and find it difficult to work from a bedroom every day of the week, or some people that live on their own and felt slightly isolated and wanted to come into the office just to see another face. They might spend 3 or 4 days not seeing anyone. So just as much as we look after the well-being of Freemasons and their families, we also look after the well-being of the staff. We need to make sure that the staff are looked after. So we've been making the office COVID safe and doing everything that we can to do that. So so it's been kind of business as usual and then some. So yeah.
So I know that West Lancs has had, the direct benefit of some of that £100,000 and the extra £10,000. There's been quite a lot of money coming our way on top of what we would normally have had over the period. So that's certainly definitely a good reason for people to keep up with the donations to the festival. That's for sure. And of course through the relief chest scheme, it does help people manage their giving within the lodges in a much more dynamic way as how they can develop those going on. Dave Winder, do you just want to come in on that? You just made a point in the chat. I've just asked you to unmute. Should be able to unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Just to make the obvious point that by supporting Festival, money's going into MCF, raise the funds in MCF, which will allow MCF then to support everything else. And that's a simple message that I would like to give. And also the point that coming to the fact that yet again our province has received over £1 million in the last year. The impact report from MCF shows that, and the aspect that really honed me in is the fact that £500,000 of that went to our own widows' dependents for daily running costs, which tells you that there are a lot of our own people who are really, really struggling, and certainly would struggle without that funding from MCF. So I know early on when the COVID appeal through UGLE with MCF came live, that there was some questions about that. So I would like to make it absolutely clear that by giving to Festival, you're covering that COVID aspect. That's the point that I wanted to make. Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, David.
I think that's a really valid point. And if you look back to when the MCF started, which was the 1st of April 2016, so about a year before I think you launched 2017, didn't you?
Yeah.
So about a year before. But if you look back just to that point from when the MCF started, Masonic support has been £3.7 million in West Lancs just since the festival, just since the MCF started. And that's been across 2,640 odd grants. But 3.7 million just on Masonic support. If you add in the charity grant support to that as well, there's another 813,000 on top of that. So you're looking at 4.5 million in the space of nearly 5 years. That's a massive amount of money. It really is. And the other thing I always think about, and I think David and Phil will know this, I very rarely thank people on behalf of the MCF, because it's not the MCF that you're helping, it is the beneficiaries. So I would always thank people on behalf of the beneficiaries. And you've got 332 lodges in this province. And last year, nearly 500 Masonic grants were given, which means on average, you all know somebody that received support from the MCF. You all know a Masonic family last year that received support from the MCF. You might not know who they are, but I bet there's somebody that you know, a Masonic family that you know that received support in the last year. And that always, I think, is quite a powerful thing to know.
Phil, do you just want to talk about the correspondence which is going out over the next couple of days to lodges with and lodges without relief chests?
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. It's I've sent the letter today for Andrew to look at, and hopefully he will. Well, obviously he will send that out, and it's covering. It covers both, actually. It's covering lodges who have got relief chests, and it's covering the lodges who have yet to consider opening a relief chest. It's advising the lodges with relief chests that they will be receiving in the next few days a QR code and URL, as Paul said, to allow the donations to be made directly to the relief chest. It will also give them information about what's going to be sent to them in that respect. There is email addresses. They will receive emails, from an email address, which is quite a long one: relief chest support, digital donations at givetap.co.uk. That will go to each lodge and chapter has a relief chest and inform them what's going to be sent to them. There's more information available on the MCF website, as Paul rightly said, and as Andrew showed. And finally, if lodges and chapters do not currently have a relief chest and would like to consider opening one, it's inviting them to visit the MCF website that we were shown a minute ago and the work they do. And I really advise, I would like to see everybody consider it, at least, because let your members know about it, and it needs to be discussed when you get back, because at the moment, with us not meeting, unfortunately, well, you'll have to consider that when we do meet again. But I think it's well worth considering, and everybody getting the facts. Make sure everybody, the message I'd like to say is, let everybody in your lodge and chapter, every member of this province, know what the relief chest does and the benefits to it. You then make your own minds up.
Absolutely. And it's probably worth just reiterating that just because you have a relief chest and you are using the relief chest scheme does not mean that you cannot donate to West Lancs Freemasons charity directly from that relief chest scheme.
Absolutely.
What you can do is effectively harvest the money into your relief chest and then give that to the West Lancs Freemasons charity directly from your relief chest. It's well worth just making that point that it definitely is not precluding WLFC at all.
And also, if you've got money in your relief chest, and for easy enough, if you've got £1,000 that you wish to donate from your relief chest to the festival or to the MCF or indeed to WLFC, while that money's been put in there, the tax has been reclaimed on it. So obviously you can donate more money because that's already been sorted out for you. All the admin's done. It's just a simple method. And to transfer that money, I've done it myself with the Provincial relief chest. Basically, it's 2 clicks on the mouse and the money's gone and into the pot. You don't even have to use the forms anymore. You can use them for other means. You can use them if you run out of anything, because you can do it all electronically.
Just to reiterate what I said at the beginning in the introduction, we've been talking a lot about lodges. Chapters are equally, both chapters, mark lodges, all sorts of other Masonic units are able to open a relief chest as well. I think I'm right in saying that, aren't I, Paul?
Yes, and there are actually a handful of chapters and other units in the province that already have relief chests.
So it's well worth looking at if you are a chapter as well. And like I say, chapters meeting less frequently, but if you set up a regular donation, then obviously that helps boost the chapter's funds over the course of a year, so you can benefit from that.
I see we've got a hand up from Bob Bennett.
Yep, I'm just asking him to unmute. Hello, Bob.
Hello there, Andrew. It's a question for Paul. I'm one of your visiting volunteers, Paul.
Oh, hello, Bob.
How are you? I know we've all had Christmas and we've all had COVID long, but have you any idea how far behind schedule MCF are? The reason why I asked this is because on the 28th of September, I put a review case in, which I posted to you on that date, and this poor widow hasn't heard anything since.
I don't, because my remit is fundraising. I don't really get involved with the Masonic support. Your best bet would be to get in touch, I guess, with Jill. Jill Valentine is it, I think. Yeah. But if you want, I can ask someone to get in touch with you, Bob.
Yeah, thanks for that then. Yeah,
will do.
So, unless anybody's got any other questions, or Phil, do you have any more points? Do you want to wrap up?
Yeah, I could just want to say, like I said before, a big thank you to Paul for everything he does for West Lancashire. Obviously, he's doing that for a lot of other provinces that are in festival, and me and Paul are involved in something else that's going on at the moment. So we've all with the handbook that we're updating. So there's a lot of work going on at the moment in the background, and what they're trying to do is to get to the point. Obviously, it makes sense to do all this spade work while we are shut down, so that when we open up, we can get going. And Paul has been a big driver behind that, and I'd like to thank him for the way he supported the, like I said before, the West Lancashire, the province of West Lancashire, and the whole charity team, because whatever we've asked for, of Paul, he's always there to help us. And I'm sure David would like to say something on there as well.
Well, thanks very much, Phil. I would concur with what you say. One of the things that came to my mind was that since I started to look at this going back to, well, 2016 and a bit, how much MCF has evolved. Well, when we started, MCF didn't even have a name. And we were the first province, of course, to be asked by MCF to support it in festival. But the systems, the databases, and the progression right the way through now to QR codes has been wonderful. And so if you could send that back to everybody, Paul, I would be very much obliged. You like Phil has said, you've come up to most of our meetings, or met many of them, travelled up, and have been a great asset to that. And so it's great to know really that people are benefiting from all this, because at the end of the day, it's those people who are in need that we're really doing all this for, isn't it? And so it fills me with a lot of joy, and I'm sure everybody else with a lot of joy that your hard work and everybody else's hard-earned money is making a difference really to those people in need. So I thank you very much indeed.
It's always a pleasure. It's been West Lancs is one of the first provinces I visited actually when I first started work at MCF, and as you know, I visited Blackpool when Blackpool was closed, and you know that was an evening. But you know, I've had lots of fun. Who else can get to say they've spoken and presented on the stage at the Winter Gardens? I mean, you know, all these opportunities that I've been given coming up to West Lancs. I always love coming up. It's always good to see you all, and it's, you know, it's an absolute joy and a pleasure. And a privilege to support you because you're doing a great job. So
maybe I should also thank everybody in our province as well, because I remember that initial meeting and we set off with monies of £1 million to start the festival off with you, which I understand is the highest that any other province has ever had.
Yeah.
And we must never forget that those monies come from the pockets of every brother in this province, to which we are very, very grateful. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah, well done, everyone.
Thanks, David.
Thank you to David. Thank you to Phil. And most especially, thank you to Paul. Thank you for your time today. I'm sure we will get you back soon, whether that's in person or virtually.
I think I'm doing something next week as well in West Lancs.
Next Tuesday, the 26th,
Yeah.
Charity Stewards meeting, Paul. I'll talk to you before then.
Phil, just to clarify, is that all charity stewards, or is it your regional?
It's the excuse me. Everybody's welcome, but it's been organised as we do for the regional, the group charity stewards, and the group festival reps. Yeah, and it's next Tuesday at 7 on the 26th at 7:30 p.m.
Excellent.
But yeah, and anybody's welcome. We, you know, it's all inclusive. We like as many as possible.
I can send the details of that out if you want, obviously.
I'll let you have them, Andrew.
So thank you to Paul. Thank you very much for your time today. Next week aside, we'll see you in the province soon, and we'll definitely have you back very soon as well. So thank you for today. Brethren, as usual, I'm going to hang around for the next couple of minutes just to see if there's any other questions that people desperately want to ask. But otherwise, just a quick note for on the 2nd of February, Tuesday, the 2nd of February at 3 o'clock, Tony Harvey is going to be doing one of his fantastic presentations. And that's going to be on the language of Freemasonry, how we communicate in and out of the lodge as well. So that's with Tony Harvey. So he's going to be coming along then. So I well recommend that. His presentations are excellent. So I hope to see you then. Otherwise, like I say, I'm going to hang around here and take any questions which may have a more administrative nature. Or maybe Paul and Phil be hanging around to answer any informal questions as well. Otherwise, I shall see you all next week.